Neurodiversity is a concept that recognizes the natural variation of the human brain, considering all individuals with different brains, different ways of thinking, innovating, and that is beneficial. When I talk about Black culture within the session, this refers broadly to African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, African immigrants, and their descendants. However, it's critical that we don't treat this as a monolithic group. There's rich diversity within and across these subgroups, differences in language, religion, opinions, history, family structure, and lived experiences. When we talk about neurodivergent in families and communities, we have to understand that these experiences are deeply shaped by the intersecting forces of racism and ableism. This intersection can create unique challenges, not just how a neurodivergent is expressed, but also how it's perceived, treated, or supported. One major issue is delayed or misdiagnoses. Black neurodivergent children are often diagnosed later, much later than white children, or misdiagnosed entirely, and provider bias plays a huge role. For example, characteristics that might signal an autism evaluation for a white child might be interpreted as defiance or emotional disturbance for a Black child. Some diagnoses, such as ADHD, can be more rarely offered in white communities than in communities of color. Historically, early autism research has often excluded or pathologized Black children. And this, alongside a history of medical exploitation like the Tuskegee study and experiments on enslaved Black women, has contributed to a deep mistrust of the healthcare system. Another layer of harm comes from how Black neurodivergent individuals are perceived, either as unruly or threatening. This racialized lens can lead to over-policing, school discipline, and even fatal interactions with law enforcement. For many Black parents raising autistic children and neurodivergent children, the fear isn't just about access to services, about their survival as well. This brings us to a concept called double jeopardy, where you have the compounded effects of being both Black and neurodivergent. And it's not just about facing two separate forms of discrimination, it's also about how these systems overlap and intensify each other, making it harder to get resources, to be heard, or even believed. While we've seen the growing recognition of neurodiversity, the unique experiences of Black neurodivergent individuals are still largely overlooked in both research and in practice. A scoping review in 2021 found that there were only 3 studies that even in the foreground discussed the experiences of Black autistic women and girls over a 77-year span. In research, caregivers often report barriers beyond diagnosis, also when it comes to therapy services. Outpatient centers can be located in higher income areas, which means access often depends on having reliable transportation, flexible time, and financial resources, and things that not every community has.